Okay, so Birmingham City playing Newcastle United in the fourth round of the FA Cup at St Andrews. Thoroughly entertaining game. It was a feisty game at times. There were a few flashpoints. There's also a nasty injury to a Birmingham player in the second half, which led to 12 minutes of added time. And a couple of interesting goals in there, including, in my opinion, one of the goals of the season by Birmingham City. Both sides led at times. The goal scoring started early and finished late. Highly entertaining game. Was it the best technically? No. Was it highly entertaining with a brilliant atmosphere? Yes. So let's break it down. Newcastle have come out triumphant 3-2, but they were made to work for it. This wasn't all one-way traffic. They had to work for it. Birmingham City, leaders in League One, made them work for it. Eddie Howe made a lot of changes to the starting lineup. 9 players changed from the last game, which I think did disrupt Newcastle a little bit. Much like Man City against Leyton Orient, a lot of changes in there. The difference between Newcastle and Man City is Newcastle are a confident team. Man City aren't a confident team, but I think those changes did disrupt Newcastle in the first half somewhat, and it was a disjointed first half. Even though they went 2-1 ahead, it was 2-2 at half time, and it took until as the second half wore on for Newcastle finally to seize control of the game and fully settle. So it was a fun game. Birmingham made Newcastle work for it. They start the goal scoring with Ethan Laird from a corner after just less than a minute's play. I don't know what Newcastle are doing there defensively, but you could argue that all the changes made has definitely impacted Newcastle's defending a little bit. Some of the combinations, some of the communication. There are some players coming back from injury. There are some players who are fringe players. Ethan Laird, though, I mean, it's a slightly deflected shot, but no one's picking him up. No one's dealing with the second phase ball. And you're thinking it's going to be one of those nights where, again, Newcastle in the FA Cup just don't get over the line. They don't progress very far. They've really underperformed in the FA Cup over the last 19 or so years. They rarely go on a run. And you're thinking it's going to be another poor FA Cup showing from Newcastle United. However, even though Birmingham go 1-0 up, it's neither side's really in full control. They're both scrapping for it. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of scrappiness. Fair few fouls in there. Some good one-on-one battles between players, but neither side is fully settled and controlling the tempo of the game. And then Joe Willock scores his first goal. I don't know what Peacock Farrell, the goalkeeper, is doing that far behind the line, but the ball does cross the line. You could argue maybe it didn't fully cross the line, but the goalkeeper has put himself in a position where he's already behind the line trying to shovel the ball out as Willock. It's a scrappy finish, but he gets enough on the ball to get enough over the line. You could argue, Birmingham City fans may argue that wasn't a goal. Newcastle fans will argue it is a goal. And of course, at this round of the FA Cup, no goal line tech, no VAR. And again, people question why is the tech being allowed at certain points in the FA Cup this season and not in others. And the VAR and goal line tech debate continues. But that's a scrappy goal, but it gets Newcastle back in the game. Now, the Callum Wilson goal is also a scrappy goal, but it's just a scrappy finish because it's a bit of a scramble in the box following a save and a rebound and the ball pinballing around. And it's two very bizarre scrappy goals that get Newcastle the lead. They've been playing not particularly well at this point. They haven't fully settled into the game, and suddenly two quick goals in interesting fashion have flipped the game on its head. And then the game is sort of ebbing and flowing. There's stops, there's starts, there's rain coming down, a little bit of mist coming in. It's a cold, blustery night. And then Tomoki Iwata, probably with one of the best goals of the season, a candidate for goal of the season. It's not very often we see pile-driving screamers from outside the box these days, as much as we used to, maybe. That's on 40 minutes. That is an absolute screamer from distance. Pope is not saving that. You could argue Newcastle could put more pressure on him, clear the ball better, but that was a fantastic goal, worthy of winning the game, to be honest. It does swing the momentum again, and you can see Newcastle are in for a fight here. Just because they're doing well in the Premier League, they're in the League Cup final. They were looking very unsettled, and you could again argue the amount of changes Eddie Howe's made disrupted Newcastle a little bit with the combinations and the flow and the balance of the side. But Iwata's goal, I mean, that was a stunner, and in my opinion, one of the goals of the season, one of the best. That was a pure. Was it a full volley, half volley? He just put his foot through that. Just runs up and hits it, and St Andrews was rocking at that point. We saw Jamie Donnelly with his audacious lob that's technically an own goal in the Leyton Orient game, and now Iwata's decided to put a feather in the cap there and go, I'm going to nail it one. Half time comes, and then the second half, there's not a lot of flow to the game. There's a lot of very stop-start, scrappy. The weather's having an impact, and then I think it's Leonard had a very nasty knee injury, lengthy spell of treatment, lengthy stoppage, which led to 12 minutes of injury time. Again, that disrupted the flow of the game. I think disrupted Birmingham a little bit. Both sides ring the changes. And then Joe Willock scores the winner. Yes, Newcastle were building the pressure a little bit and controlling a little bit more of the tempo. And Joe Willock, again, very similar to Callum Wilson's goal. The ball pinballs around a little bit and he just smashes it through the keeper's legs with a very powerful low daisy cutter nutmeg on Peacock Farrell, the goalkeeper. And that's the end of the scoring. There would still be opportunities. Both keepers would still be called into action before the end of the game. There were some feisty flashes at the end of the first half, and in the second half there were some feisty challenges. Neither side truly settled. And at the end of it, Newcastle come out 3-2 winners, surviving a scare. They were made to work for this. If I was to compare this to the Man City Leyton Orient game, I think Newcastle played a lot better against Birmingham City than Manchester City played against Leyton Orient. Both League One sides were at home today. Newcastle knew they were in a fight. Birmingham obviously playing really well in League One, same as Leyton Orient are playing well in League One. Newcastle knew they were in a fight. Some of their fringe players were given a good run out, good test of character. In years past, Newcastle will lose that game. So I think Eddie Howe has done remarkable things with this side. Yes, he's now got money behind him, which Steve Bruce didn't have, for example. But I do think Eddie Howe's done a really good job with Newcastle United. As I say, in years past, a game like this, Newcastle would lose and be very unconvincing. They were tested tonight. This reminds me a little bit of the Newcastle-Blackburn game last season in the FA Cup, where Newcastle being in the division above, they were given a real test. And they did come out on top against dogged, confident opposition. So it'd be interesting to see who Newcastle get in the next round. I think that's a statement win by Newcastle. They didn't play particularly well, but they get a win away from home at St Andrews, which is not an easy ground to go to, especially with the atmosphere and a packed St Andrews. And it's going to be a shame when St Andrews goes, because we know Birmingham are planning a new stadium. It's just whether they get that planning permission. So St Andrews, there's only how much longer will we see that as a stadium? So we know the days of St Andrews being full on a Saturday night in the middle of winter are numbered. But that was a good atmosphere. Both sets of fans really in full voice. Newcastle, very passionate fan base. Birmingham, very passionate fan base. And overall, a very entertaining game as a neutral. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below. And I will have some more content for you guys very, very soon.